Good morning and welcome back to another video, and today is another day of the 0 to Gold Cap Challenge. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. So what we've actually been doing this morning is just setting ourselves up for something along the lines of we're going to be doubling down on raid night making gold, because we found out that last week doing a few testers that it was very profitable, as we made a few 100,000 gold pretty much every time we did it, and we made an additional 100,000 gold just by posting 2 of those days, of the Wednesday and the Thursday of raid night. So what I've decided to do is completely just go crazy and spend all of my gold. We are back down to 20,000 gold. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going into our TSM. Now for TSM, I have done a few bits of changes. So Alchemy Crafted is now moved. The pots and potions that we'll be crafting for Raid Night are all in the Raid Night Crafted. This is to make my life a hell of a lot easier when I am doing my cancelling and reposting, because these ones are fast selling because they're for Raid Night, and thus they will be undercut very quite a bit. The plan is to make up a load of the groups. So obviously we've got the Silas one already done with its operations. If you don't remember, we go into crafting and the Silas pots are right here to do the actual method, and then all we have to do now is just finishing up the other ones. So the inscription ones, like the scrolls, the different types of the tomes and all of that type of stuff, those are commonly bought. I've actually double checked this on the Undermine journal for my realm, and apparently they sell pretty damn fast. Also with our mailbox clean outs that we actually do on our Discord, I've noticed that quite a lot of inscription stuff, and I've noted every single one that I've seen selling on those raid nights, and I will be adding those into the actual group. Obviously we're going to be getting into the crafting in a second, but aside from that, we will be doing some raid gems. That'll be with our dual crafting and crafting up loads of the different stuff, because those tend to sell as well. Now, along with that, raid food such as feasts will be implemented into this, because they'll be fast selling on raid night, as well as the crafted pots. Now, of course, we only used the raid nights thing just for alchemy last week, and we made an additional 100,000 gold on top of that in just clear profit. That was pretty damn awesome, but I want to up this. So what we're doing now is we will be doing one for cooking, for gems and inscriptions, so we can maximize the amount of gold we can get on a raid night. Now the plan as follows will be updated into my executive assistant on, not on daily stuff. It'll be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and there will be prepping. So one day a week we'll be doing one thing, and then the next day we'll be doing another thing, and then we'll be doing another thing and another thing, and that's how we're going to work it. I think that's probably the best way we're actually going to be able to go about doing all of this in a relatively conservative manner, in order to maximize the amount of gold that we're actually getting. Now obviously if I really wanted to, I could always just jump over and just farm Zinanthid for crazy days, but what my goal is at this moment in time is to make as much gold as possible for the less time invested, because I know a lot of you guys don't have a lot of time to actually make a lot of gold. Obviously everyone at the moment is a little bit indoors, but after all of this is passed, not a lot of us have a lot of free time to do a lot of stuff and make a lot of gold. Judging by at this moment in time, there are quite a few ways in which we can go about doing this in order to make a fair amount of gold. Basically just investing like a couple of hours a week just doing this. So it's definitely well worth our time, and pretty much can invest quite a hefty amount going forward. Now obviously I will be getting into a load of farming. I actually plan on doing a few other farming, but we will talk about that after we've gone over what we'll be crafting in a second, once we've gone through the gold for the day. The gold for the day is 53,500 gold exactly, and 85 silver, so not really exactly, but you get the point. The next thing of note, we actually sold some enchant rings, seal of critical strike. They're really bad on my realm, so they're only sold for like a stack of those for like 1,817 gold. Not really worth it for me on my realm for enchanting, hence why I'm not doing enchanting. Even with Iwin's Rod, it still doesn't pull me a profit at the moment, so I'm not going to touch that because it's not profitable in my realm. I'm not going to waste gold. But the next thing is 1,039 of my Gloom Dust, even though we have had like 39,000 of this stuff. So we've got to shift quite a lot of Gloom Dust. But for 3,938 gold, that's pretty damn good. The next thing is a stack of 890 Umbra Shards for 11,608 gold. And along with that, a Highborn Compendium of Sundering for 3,337 gold, and an Uncanny Satin Pants for 1,900 gold. That's doing pretty damn good. I'm pretty happy with all of this going forward. We also styled another stack of Umbra Shards for 651 of those for 8,584 gold, along with my Thorium ore from the other day is 2,134 gold. The next thing of note is another Sundering Highborn Compendium, which is 3,337 gold, and a Lost Mail we sold because we obviously got our little toy that opens up a mailbox wherever we are in the world. We resold the Lost Mail, even though we found that in Dalaran. By the way, you can find that in Dalaran Legion if you want to know, but it's basically everywhere where there's a mailbox, really. But other than that, it's 4,493 gold we didn't have, so I'm going to take that and run. The next thing of note is another Sundering for 3,337 gold. All the rest of the stuff is just shirts and all that stuff. So 53,500 gold, pretty damn awesome, even though we only had 20,000 left. So that gives us more gold to invest into our raid night stuff, which we will be doing. And then we can go into our crafting. So we'll just pull all this gold in, and at the moment we're not going to count how much we've got in our bags because it's all going into investments. And then as and when raid night hits, which is in 2 days, as it's Monday today, and raid night starts on Wednesday, we have today and tomorrow to prep for raid night. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go straight over to our alchemist. Okay, so we're on our alchemist at this moment in time, and what he's going to be doing, by the way, I love his mog at the moment. I don't know why, just in love with it. What we're doing is we're going to be crafting, resupplying all of our alchemy stuff. Obviously we can't make 100 of these at the moment because we don't have enough gold for reinvesting that much into our alchemy, but by the end of the week, I generally think we will have enough to boost ourselves up to 100 flasks and all that jazz by the end of it. The other thing of note is I spent all morning, if you didn't know, I did like little updates every now and then on the Discord I basically milled a load of Riverbud. I bought out the cheapest one on the auction house, which was Riverbud and Winter's Kiss, and I basically mass milled them like crazy in order to craft my inks, because I cross-referenced it with the Worth It add-on for flippings, and I noticed that Riverbud was generating an additional profit if it was mass milled, and obviously I need the inks. So the inks on my realm were like 75 gold min buyout, and it was a bit ridiculous, and I was like, I'm not going to pay that much gold in order to reset and rebuild up my inscription list. So I decided to use the profit from mass milling in order to create my pigments and then thus my inks. So yeah, one little side note though, Worth It actually goes off of the inks when it comes to milling. It actually tells you underneath here that will be going off of the inks instead. So if you were wondering that, it doesn't go off of the pigments, it goes off of the inks for when it comes to its profit, when it calculates profit over the milled herbs. So just so you know. Now, along with that, we're going to be crafting obviously using our Silas proc. Obviously we don't have it at this moment in time. We've got to wait 10 minutes in order for our decanter of disguise to wear off, and then we can try and see if we can get that potion of prosperity, and then we can then start crafting, because we've got all of the additional herbs which are in our bank right now, and we've actually managed to reduce the cost of our investment for that by using our daily cooldowns on our 6 alchemists, and we've been able to reduce the cost by that by using our 6 alchemists to create the bag of anchors in order to create our anchor weed for a lot cheaper, and we can use that profit that you would get by selling anchor weed on the auction house by crafting those into the potions, which we can then gather procs from in order to make more gold on top of that. So we're using that as a supplementary method at the moment to create our flasks for cheaper in order to maximize our procs and thus make more gold overall by doing that. Now, at the moment, it's about 10 anchor weed every time on my toon, but I found that it's about 1 in 6 of my characters will get a proc of either 14 or 18 anchor weeds. That's always a nice little uptick going forward. Other than that, we added an additional, just by our 6 characters for a couple of days, it was 184 anchor weed overall, so that was pretty damn good. So what we're going to be doing at this moment in time is just going into our inscription. We're going to craft all those. Now when it comes to our jewel crafting, we will be crafting the versatile dark opal, the quicksand spinel, masterful sea currents. We do have the Leviathan's eye, but at this moment in time, they are not profitable. So I'll be basically clicking that every single day to see when it is profitable to buy those materials, and then we will do that. Hopefully it drops in price as the Undermine Journal suggests, in order to see if we can actually maximize that amount of gold. Now, aside from all of that, I do intend to go over how you can analyze your market to see when is the best time to actually buy materials and when is the best time to sell them. If you would like, I'm more than happy to do that type of a video in order to understand how your server is working when it comes to in relation to how you make the gold. Now, along with that, we will be crafting quite a lot of stuff when it comes to our alchemy and our inscription and our jewel crafting. Obviously, I need to do the cooking stuff, but in the meantime of stocking up for all of our stuff, because we've got all of our herbs now, all it takes is just buying a load of this stuff off of the auction house. I will then just stop this craft for 2 seconds while I jump into our gatherer, because we're going to be doing something in our downtime moving forward, of course. So that complete setup at the moment, once it's all built up, I will be posting an update on my TSM operations and groups in order for you guys to follow along. That will be located in the announcements page on my Discord. It will take a little while in order to set it up, but once it's up, you guys are more than welcome to use it for obvious reasons. And at this moment in time, I am going to be doing the Akunda's Bite farm, because I found that on my realm, Akunda's Bite is the only herb besides Xenanthid that is highly priced, and it is and the competition on it is relatively low. So in comparison to Xenanthid, where it's always getting farmed and there's like no chance in order to farm that up because of all the multi-boxes, I'm going to go with the Akunda's Bite, because then I can reduce the cost of our flasks and our mills by doing the Akunda's Bite farm and then supplementing that with that in order to reduce the cost and then increase our profit overall. Now, aside from that, with all the multi-boxes, when it comes to Xenanthid, we can usually buy it really, really cheap on either Mondays or Tuesdays. I've noticed on Ardent Dawn that the map prices actually do drop. So hence why I've bought it all today instead of buying it on the Wednesday for raid night, so to speak. So that's what I'm going to be doing going forward. Now, with the actual farm, I've done a bit of a play around. I checked out one of the farms that was actually in Voldoon. Now, with flying, I can cover more area, so I've dual incorporated 2 farms together in order to maximize the amount of gold, because I've noticed that when I was doing it with flying, some of the nodes weren't respawning right away. So as soon as I started going along this route here, like the combined route, I was always getting herbs instead of having to wait for the node respawns, so to speak. So now I can always know that there's going to be nodes in order to farm, and then thus I can then make a decent amount of gold overall, and that is the item of note. So what we're going to be doing is we're also going to be getting our rank up in Akunda's Bite, which is something I severely lacked because we got rid of our farming for Akunda's Bite. So that's something we're going to be working on going forward in order to reduce the cost once more. And then that is the plan going forward. As an overview, this week we are going to be doing daily updates. Well, we're doing daily anyway, but it's going to be daily updates on how we're actually performing and how much gold we're actually going to be pulling in overall for this entire week, and see how well the restocking for raid nights and then selling on the raid nights is working out. And then as of Monday next week, we will do an overview and see how well we actually did with this particular method, whether it needs adjusting, what needs to happen, because this won't take us all that much time in order to do and maintain every single day. So this will be more than beneficial if it actually works. So we're actually doing a semi-live way in order to keep updated and see if this is actually worth doing, and then we will move forward. Now obviously we know that the alchemy one is doing really well in order to produce us a load of gold on raid nights, so we've got that fact going forward. Like obviously we made like 100k last week, like sheer profit, so I'm pretty damn happy on the way things are going right there. It's now just a case of seeing if the inscription is going to work and the gems along with the cooking. I know that the cooking is going to work because I did a couple of testers last week as well. But aside from that, that is basically what I'm going to be doing for the next upcoming days. I do have a few things to be working on, such as Worth It Classic. I am working on that. We do have a beta build, so I will be editing some of those modules because we've got to remove quite a few bits from that, like BFA farms, because they won't show and they just come up as an unknown item. And aside from that, once a beta build is made, you are more than welcome to use it on Classic. Now, aside from that, I am going to be spending hours upon hours farming this area because I intend to reduce the cost of all of my different stuff for inscription and alchemy as much as possible. So I will be keeping a tally on how many hours I've done farming, and as opposed to that, I will be keeping track of how long I'm actually spending on pretty much everything. At this moment in time, I shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow.